Okay, scholars, I want to talk to you about Mark Noll's book again and help you focus on a very important part in here. He's got this section about how the Bible gets thinned and absorbed in the Enlightenment in the beginning of the 18th century, and then especially on the issue of slavery. And he has a section here called the so-called curse of Ham. We need to understand this and just sort of set some parameters for you, okay? So, got this for you. High tech, huh? So, the curse of Ham, as Noll points out, is developed. It's not in the Bible the way they describe it. This curse of Ham, that that somehow black people have this curse. This comes out of the Renaissance. It comes out of largely Protestantism, and is a notion that, like when Cotton Mather doesn't believe in the curse of Ham, because why? Cotton Mather reads the Bible, okay, rather than going to these secondary sources like that. Now, part of the thing that Noll doesn't get into, but is this notion of polygenesis. This also Cotton Mather fights against, but it's a very popular notion which will help support the notion of race. Both of these helping support the notion of a distinct race. Polygenesis is that God created multiple types of humans or lesser beings than humans, and basically the idea that the blacks are not fully human like whites. Okay, now that comes also out of Europe, and it really leads into the Enlightenment. Enlightenment plays a lot with this. Thomas Jefferson plays a lot with this idea. And so what you see here is that a lot of the ideas that are going to support the development of slave codes and then full-on slavery, especially how it travels through your mother's line, and then, these people are legally slaves. So yeah, Thomas Jefferson's household, where everybody's related to each other, but they're Thomas Jefferson's wife is white and free, and Thomas Jefferson's wife's sister is, or stepsister, or whatever you want to call her, is Sally Hemings, is black and slave, even though apparently she doesn't even look that black, and she's only I think about 1/4 black. So the thing is this is just wacky craziness. This is sort of typical of a type of extreme rationalist world, the Enlightenment. It sort of does a lot of playthings, and people associate things with the Bible as an authority, but it's not there. It's not there. So keep those in mind, and we're going to see these things develop, and watch for them. A lot of people get very confused about them. Now, the big issues are freedom and equality as we move into the revolution, and these are these issues of American history. And freedom is huge, of course. Freedom is throughout the Bible. It's in Herodotus. It's the grand tradition of human flourishing is freedom. Okay, Jesus came to make us free, man, free indeed, that kind of thing. Okay, so freedom is huge, and America is all about freedom. Yes. Now, the other word that gets used a lot is equality. And this is a word which is not very biblical. Of course, we're equally sinners. We're equal in the sight of God. There's types of equality. Herodotus talks about, there's a type of equality in democracy. But he doesn't mean what we mean necessarily. And then Aristotle will talk about equality in marriage as the constitutional aspect of marriage, but then there's also inequality. So equality is the very problematic word that we have in American history, and part of what especially our lives, the 20th century on into the 21st century, is a type of there's a utopianism behind equality, and there's a mathematical sort of insistency behind the word equality. The Renaissance and the Enlightenment love this term equality, and yet it's a hard term to work with because, as equality is a really utopian and sort of mental concept that doesn't doesn't touch reality very well. You can go 2 plus 2 equals 4 or something like that, but the equality doesn't really function well. And so with Aristotle, with Herodotus, with the Bible, equality is a problematic term. It's there, it's useful, it's good. It's an aspiration in many ways, but it is, as we talk about, a type of problematic word. So freedom and equality, and then especially slavery, these are these huge issues we're moving into, and they drive American history on into today. You know, these massive insistent on systematic racism and things like that. Yes, but where do they come from? Well, watch out when people associate them with the Bible. Watch out with the way they use and say we have these, especially within the church. So what I point out to you primarily is to keep these words separate. Don't let them jumble in your mind. And especially like when we talk about slavery, like this stuff here doesn't happen much within Catholics. And so here in California, we don't have this kind of thinking going into the Spanish Empire or the Mexicans. When Mexicans say no slavery, and they say that real easy. They're not tied up with this type of stuff as much, you know, as Protestants. So I would encourage you to, you know, this is what a college student does, or should do, is to learn how to separate things, learn how to think about things, learn how to keep distinctions that are important. Okay, so Mark Noll's book is very good as the Bible's effect in history and stuff like that. And what he also points out is there's a lot of misuse of the Bible, and certainly in the as we move into slavery in the South, it will be a misuse.